So, Topuria wins this fight, and so does Volkanovski. Folks, welcome to the channel, and before you get angry, let me clarify a few things. This is a 50-50 fight. It's as close as it gets, and the bets are showing that, slightly favoring Volkanovski, mostly because of experience. Personally, I think it's a little bit more leaning towards Topuria, mostly because of Volk's last fight in which he got knocked out, and the age factor, and also you are as good as your last fight. This is something very commonly said in boxing, and it holds true. Also, something very common in boxing is a knockout like the one Volkanovski had makes a difference. I've been following boxing way before UFC was even a thing, and you change. It's not the same guy, the same fighter. Once a fighter gets knocked out cold like that, there's something in the body that changes, and you tend to be a little bit more sensitive. So basically, and this pretty much anyone that follows combat sports for a period of time knows, you're not the same person once you got knocked out. You're a little bit more prone to get knocked out again. Having said that, how is it that both Topuria and Volkanovski win this? Well, very simple. Let's go with the bets, right? Bets slightly favoring Volkanovski. So Volkanovski goes out there, he wins the decision like he often has done, and Topuria loses. Oh, well, you have, on one hand, you have Volkanovski winning against the young, hot guy in the division, and you have Topuria losing. Is it the end of the world for Topuria? Is 26 years old. He's gonna be champion eventually. So it's maybe not this year, then it's the next. It really does not change much. Sure, now it would be the perfect story for him, not having any loss at all, but sometimes people obsess a little bit over that zero. The guy has more than enough time. Now, let's say the opposite happens. Let's say Topuria goes and knocks him out in the first round, like he said. What's the big deal? The guy won. He lived up to his own hype, and everyone is happy, except what? Fans of Volkanovski? Hell no. The guy already is considered one of the best pound per pound in UFC, and that's not going to be changing because he loses to Topuria. And even more so, this would mean that marking kind of like the end of his career. I mean, he could keep on fighting for a couple more years, and it gets to the point where you definitely have a diminishing return. You're more likely to end up losing more of those fights against less opposition of less status. So I see a point in saying, you know what, maybe a few more fights and I'm done, and not continuing to your 40s, right? It just doesn't make any sense. But let's say he loses now, a little bit more, retires. He already had one of the best careers anyone could have in UFC. He goes down as one of the best in the division, you know, in a very small select group. So, you know, and the man already had his career. What, you think Volkanovski will never lose? He will continue fighting until he's 100 years old? Of course not. You're looking at the last couple years the guy has left. And that's always the case. You always end up following the same path. So it shouldn't surprise anyone if he ends up losing either this fight against Topuria, or, you know what would be even worse, end up losing some other fight, a couple more fights down the road against someone that is not going to have the career that obviously Topuria has ahead of him. So that's why I say, no matter what happens with this fight, both guys end up winning in one way or another. You know, when you actually lose, when it's someone like in his kind of like in the middle of his career, and winning the belt finally is either a make it or break it situation. In that case, you can clearly say, yeah, if you don't get it this time, it's kind of a done thing for you. So those would be a clear moments of loss. But again, be more mature about these things. Some people get a very fanboy-ish about who they favor. But at the end of the day, we all win because we get to see a great fight. Guys, see you in the next video. Take care.